other. And I know it's not just about you, but what is this like for you as a competitor?
It's so fun playing with great guards. Kelsey Mitchell's really...
Hello, guys. Welcome back to the channel. Whoa, hold up. Olivia Miles taking cheap shots at Caitlin Clark online? Seriously, Olivia? I've been a fan of Olivia Miles, but this is unnecessary and honestly nasty work. Caitlin Clark has never done anything to this girl, never said anything about her, and yet Olivia is apparently liking posts, taking shots at Caitlin? So yeah, we're pulling the curtain back on this situation. Here's what happened. Olivia Miles liked a post taking a jab at Caitlin Clark that said, "I used to cheer for you." And that "used to" part says a lot. Then there's another post claiming Olivia Miles is what everyone thinks Caitlin Clark is. And Olivia Miles went ahead and liked that one too. Come on, Olivia. If you have an issue with Caitlin Clark, say it with your chest. Don't hide behind liking shady-ass posts online. Caitlin has built her own name, and there are already plenty of people trying to get attention by becoming the anti-Caitlin. And Olivia Miles, if that's what this is, you're late to the party. Taking cheap shots at Caitlin for likes and engagement is unnecessary, especially when Caitlin hasn't even said a damn thing about you. That's why fans are calling this out, and honestly, I'm not digging it at all. Okay, so Olivia Miles is taking jabs at Caitlin Clark, and I'm sorry, but I'm not letting that slide. Caitlin ain't never taken shots at you, Olivia. She hasn't done anything to you, hasn't come after you publicly, and yet you're out here liking posts that take cheap shots at her? That's whack. That's unnecessary, and honestly, it's nasty work. Now, I'm going to break this whole Olivia Miles situation down because, Olivia, you are absolutely fire as a basketball player. I'm not taking that away from you. You can hoop. You can play. But let's keep this shit real. You have a hell of a lot of help around you. You don't get defended the same way Caitlin Clark gets defended. You don't get double-teamed constantly because teams can't afford to leave all those other Minnesota Lynx players open. Kayla McBride can go off for 40 and knock down a ridiculous number of threes. Courtney Williams can score 30. Napheesa Collier can score 30. Natasha Howard has already had huge scoring games. That is a loaded-ass basketball team. And Olivia, you lucked up. You lucked up because of some questionable decisions by other franchises. The Chicago Sky were supposed to have that pick. The Minnesota Lynx weren't even originally supposed to be sitting there with the number 2 pick. One of those franchises made a dumbass deal, and suddenly Minnesota ends up with Olivia. And let's be honest, Olivia, you could have easily been the number 1 pick. The Dallas Wings had the number 1 selection, and they ultimately took Azzi Fudd. I'm not saying Azzi isn't talented, because she absolutely is, but if we're talking about pure draft circumstances and what Olivia Miles brings to the table, you can absolutely make the argument that Olivia should have gone number 1. Instead, you ended up in Minnesota with Paige Bueckers already there, surrounded by an elite supporting cast. That's the difference. Caitlin Clark didn't walk into that kind of situation. Caitlin Clark went to the Indiana Fever, a franchise that had struggled for years. There wasn't a championship-level foundation waiting for her. There wasn't a stacked roster surrounding her. She had to walk into a struggling organization and immediately become the face of the franchise. Olivia Miles walked into a damn machine. Minnesota was already a championship contender. Napheesa Collier is one of the best players in the entire WNBA. Cheryl Reeve is one of the most respected coaches in basketball. That organization already knew how to win. So, Olivia, when you start comparing yourself to Caitlin Clark, understand the circumstances are completely different. And here's another huge difference: the way defenses treat Caitlin Clark. Teams pick her up full court. They chase her around screens. They trap her. They throw different defenders at her. They constantly try to make her uncomfortable because they know exactly what she can do with the basketball. You don't get that same level of defensive attention, Olivia. And why would they? You have Collier, you have McBride, you have Courtney Williams, you have Natasha Howard. Everybody on that damn team can hurt you. If somebody decides to double Olivia Miles, Minnesota can punish them somewhere else. That's not an insult, that's basketball. But don't get your head too big because the media isn't putting the same microscope on you. Let's talk about your last game against the Portland Fire. You shot 3 for 13 and finished with 13 points. That's not exactly some unstoppable superstar performance. And you know what the difference is between you and Caitlin Clark? When Caitlin shoots 3 for 13, the entire basketball world starts screaming that she's a bum. First Take will talk about it. Stephen A. Smith will talk about it. Analysts will pull out clips. Social media will explode. Everybody suddenly wants to dissect every damn possession. But when Olivia Miles has a bad night, crickets. Nobody gives a shit. You get to have a bad game in peace. That's the privilege of not being the biggest story in women's basketball. Paige Bueckers can struggle and lose games, and the coverage doesn't come close to the level Caitlin receives. Angel Reese can have ugly shooting nights, and somehow the conversation moves on. Players across this league can have terrible performances without their entire careers being questioned the next morning. But Caitlin? One bad game and people act like the sky is falling. That's the pressure she carries. And that pressure didn't magically appear. Caitlin built a massive audience because she became one of the biggest stars basketball has ever seen. So every single thing she does gets magnified. That's why I'm saying this, Olivia. Be careful with the cheap shots, because whether you like it or not, a massive part of the attention surrounding the next generation of WNBA stars exists because Caitlin Clark helped push women's basketball into a completely different level of mainstream attention. And let's be real. Some of these comparisons only exist because everybody wants somebody to stand across from Caitlin. That's why the media keeps looking for the next rivalry. Caitlin versus Paige, Caitlin versus Angel, Caitlin versus Olivia. Everybody wants a comparison. But if you really believe you're better, then go prove it on the damn court. Don't hide behind liking shady posts. Don't take passive-aggressive shots online. Don't let social media gas you up into believing you've already accomplished something you haven't. Because Olivia Miles, you are a baller. I'll give you that all day. You have talent, you have vision, you have the ability to become one of the best players in this league. But you also landed in an unbelievably favorable situation. Caitlin Clark had to help rebuild a franchise. You walked into a championship-caliber team. That's the difference. So if you want to prove you're better than Caitlin Clark, Olivia, don't do it with Instagram likes. Don't do it with shady-ass posts. Do it on the basketball court, because that's where the real conversation belongs. So I'm no hater, but let's keep this shit real. Comparing what Olivia Miles is doing right now to what Caitlin Clark had to deal with is not even close. If Olivia Miles had landed with the Chicago Sky or Connecticut Sun as a rookie, the situation would be completely different. She would have far more defensive pressure, fewer elite teammates around her, and teams could actually focus on stopping her. Instead, Olivia walked into the Minnesota Lynx, a loaded team with championship experience and stars everywhere. Caitlin Clark didn't have that luxury. Caitlin had to deal with players like Katie Lou Samuelson and Damiris Dantas while trying to carry an Indiana Fever team that had been struggling for years. And then compare Christie sides to Cheryl Reeve? Come on, man, that's not even a damn comparison. Now people are acting like Olivia Miles single-handedly transformed the Minnesota Lynx. What are we talking about? This organization already had 4 championships. This isn't some random franchise that Olivia magically turned into a contender. If she had gone to another team, maybe we would be looking at a completely different version of her game. And I'm not saying Olivia Miles is a bad player. She's a baller, but context matters. Then you see people saying, Olivia Miles isn't even the best player on our team. Clark is. And sure, Kelsey Mitchell scoring more points per game doesn't automatically make her a better all-around player. Caitlin Clark impacts the game in multiple ways. She creates shots, gets assists, rebounds, pushes the pace, and constantly makes plays that open things up for teammates. That's why you can't compare yourself to Caitlin only when it benefits you. If you want the comparison, then take everything that comes with it. Because when Caitlin has a bad game, everybody talks about it. When Olivia went 3 for 13 against the Portland Fire, where was everybody? Nobody cared. Nobody was calling her a bum. Nobody was dissecting every damn possession. So, Olivia, if you're gonna take shots online, at least be ready for the spotlight that comes with it. Otherwise, it just looks corny as hell. What do y'all think? Let me know in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, and share the channel.